But yeah, we'll just continue with the stream tonight. Um, Stream info. Anyone? Alright, so good evening to each and everyone. Medyo huli tayo ng konti ngayon, no? Kasi I needed to do some tasks. However, we're here, we're live. And yeah, sa mga hindi nakakaalam, this live stream for tonight, this is called um, Who You Are. Basically, this is a live stream that is specialized on Q&A. So ngayong gabi na to, we will be having Q&A. However, our topic will be more on who you are. Right. So this is one of the greatest existential questions rather. Um, who you are? Who am I? Who is that I am? All right. So hintayin na natin yung iba. Okay. Hintayin muna natin yung iba. I'll try to send the link to others, especially to my friends, and see if they're still awake. Alright. Okay. So yeah, I'm actually sending the link to all of my friends and checking if they're still awake, if they're still available. Uh, alright. So that at least marami tayo ngayon. Yeah, we can have a good discussion. So if you think all right. Hi, Joseph Vertino. Good day to you, brother. What time is it there now in your location? Here in the Philippines, it's already 11 p.m. in the evening. Namaste. April. All right. Namaste, Brother James. Kumusta? Thank you for joining. And also Joseph Bertino, thank you for joining. So right now we're just waiting for others. All right. Yeah, James Legaspi, akala ko 10 p.m. Oo nga, I was really hoping to start by 10. However, so many things happened. I needed to, let my son sleep first. So, it really extended up to 11. So, medyo late na nagsimula. But, I'm still pursuing this one kasi sayang naman. So, yun. Joseph Vertino, who are you? The question for self-inquiry. That is correct. This question is really for self-inquiry. So who are you? So that will be the topic for tonight. Who are you? All right. Who's there? Who's there? By the way, please say hi. Please say hi if you're there. Please say hi if you're there. All right, so Joseph Vertino, good morning from New York in America. Wow. So is it like 11:04 a.m. right in New York right now? Because I think it's like 12 hours difference from the Philippines. All right. Oh, by the way, why did you send the picture of Trungpa Rinpoche earlier on my inbox? Yeah, he was very young on that picture, Joseph Bertino. I almost wasn't able to recognize him. All right. Descartes present. Wow. Brother, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Um, thank you for joining me. It's been a while. So, yeah, tonight we will be talking about who are you. So, this is one of the most profound questions that a person uh, can ask in his life, right? So when we start asking who we are, who are you, who am I, when we start asking who am I, right? What's in it for you? If you start asking who am I, we start to ask more deep questions in life. Um, we start asking questions like what is the meaning of life, why am I here, what is the purpose of my existence, and so on. But normally it really starts with the question who am I, because if we know who we are, then we would know where should we going, right? Alam natin kung saan tayo pupunta, alam natin kung ano yung direction ng buhay natin, alam natin kung ano yung gusto natin, because we know who we are. But because we don't know who we are, then we don't know where we're going to, and we also don't know what we want. We don't know what's good for us, and we also don't know what's bad for us, right? Um, for these things, we only rely on what others tell us. We rely on what doctors tell us, what's good for our health. We rely on social media to tell us what's pretty, what's ugly, right? We rely on other people's, acceptance, if we are someone desirable or not desirable, because we don't know who we really are. All right. All right. Joseph Vertino Trongpa Rinpoche is a special soul who was dauntless in his approach to Buddha and brought it to many Westerners' minds. Yep, I've heard about him. He's really, really awesome. Yeah, he's the person who coined the term crazy wisdom. All right, his approach is very unique, very straightforward. And if you're someone who has a weak heart, you get offended with Trungpa Rinpoche. However, this is what he always says. What gets hurt is actually not you. It's just your ego. So later on, we will discuss about that. April Laba, thanks for the heads up. All right, thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us. April Lava. Um, are we friends on Facebook, or by any chance are we acquainted with at least a GC on Facebook, rather? Anyway, thank you so much for joining here with us tonight. So, our topic would be who are you? All right. So Joseph Vertino, he was still in training in that photo, but most know him from when we is in America. We sit and glasses on with many jokes on his lips. April Lava, yes. April Villa, my FB name. Alright, hi, ikaw pala April Villa. Alright, so sino pa ba nandyan? Welcome, Miss April Villa. So I'm still trying to get a hold of others. Trying to get a hold of others. Where are they? Maybe they're sleeping already because tonight it's already 11:10 p.m. So yeah, the thing is, I actually announced that this live stream will be 10 p.m. However, I started late because I needed to do some things pa here at home. That's why medyo natagalan. But it's alright. Alright, so let's continue with our let's continue our discussion. All right. But before that, let me get some biscuits. Just be very, very quick. Joseph Vertino. Understanding that when a Buddhist master sends an insult, it isn't for no divine purpose. True. Because insult is just happening, in a superficial level. So what or who gets insulted is not really you, but it is the false self. All right. So later on we'll discuss about that. All right, I'm back. Hi guys. Just got some biscuits. All right, so please say hi if you're there. All right, so who's here? We have here Joseph Vertino, James Legaspi, Descartes, and April Villa. Um, Hi there, everyone. Welcome and good evening. But good morning to Joseph Vertino, who's in New York right now. So, okay, let's start our discussion. All right, so who are you? Right, so just please free to put your answers on the uh, chats, right? Who are you? Who do you think you are? Right, so I want to see your answers on the chat, and I'll be reading your answers, all right? And while reading your answers, we will have a discussion, or perhaps I'll make a commentary on your answers, all right? Just for us to, to have a topic to start with. So to kickstart this one, just please answer the question: Who are you? Right? Who are you? All right. April Lava, I am. I just am. Okay. So when you say I am, April, no? When you say I am, what is it I am that we are referring to? Who is this I am? Right? Who is this I am? Right? Because we say, for example, for me, I say, I am. I am Joseph. Right? So I am refers to the Joseph. And who is that Joseph? Joseph is the name that was given to me by my parents. But that Joseph, is that really me? Is that the I am? Right? All right. So, all right. April Lava, I prefer to be just I am. No labels, no titles. The stillness within me, that is I am. Okay. That's pretty deep, pretty profound. Right? But if you ask someone, no, if you try to talk to someone and you ask someone, who are you? Right? Of course, automatically, anong sinasagot natin, di ba? Oh, by the way, I am, my name is, um, it really depends on your, let's say, occupation. It really depends on the context of the question, right? Most of the time, kasi if you are asking, let's say, someone from school, who are you? So the other person would say, oh, by the way, I am. The person states his name, says or states his or her name, and then he or she would say, I am from this class. I am first year. magsaysay, something like that, or second year Saturn, um, yeah, something like that. And if you met the same person, maybe in the neighborhood, oh, um, di ba ikaw si ano? Sasabihin niya, yes, I am. And then the person states his name again, and then he would ask, by the way, ako si ano, anak ako ni ano. So the person will then describe himself to be the son of, and then states the name of his or her parents, right? And also, after maybe a few years, you talk to the same person again. You saw that person in a company. The person would, you know, tell you, hey, um, you still remember me? I am. And then the person states his name. And then the person would then say, by the way, I am the current manager or supervisor of this company in this department, and so on and so forth. So, you know, this I am that we are using is, you know, is changing, right? Dynamic. Um, it seems that the I am is something to be there, but what is encapsulating this I am, or let's say that there is something that is, let's say, containing this I am, and the container of this I am changes. So it seems that the I am also changes. But the truth is, the I am does not change. The I am is something that is within um, within that thing that it encapsulates it. Are you getting me, or are you following? Right? Um, the I am seems to be still. The I am tends to be static, right? It's like it's just there. It's eternally there. However, it is the thing that encapsulates, or it is the thing that contains the I am that changes, right? Alright, so sino pa ba nandito? Um, James Legaspi, are you there? Joseph Vertino, are you there? Um, sino pa ba? Alright, Descartes. I am not just a human. I am not just a being, but I am a human person, participating to the personhood of the divine person. I am not without the ultimate I am. Alright, so this is the question kasi I am not just a human, I am not just a being, but I am a human person participating to the personhood of the divine person. Now, if we ask, right, di ba, um, Descartes, we are all human beings, right? But what is it in us that makes us human, right? What is it in us that makes us human? what is it that makes us human? Is it just our flesh and bones, right? Because when you say I am a human, I am a human being, right? When you say I am a human being, when you talk about human beings, agad-agad papasok sa isip natin is, the physical body, right? The flesh, the bones, um, this three-dimensional image that we can see with our two eyes, right? But um, are we really just this physical body, right? Um, is the ego that thrives in dualistic world. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yun. We are actually human beings. What makes us human is that we are not just actually the flesh and blood. Lagi nga to sinasabi in my other videos, right? We have a transcendent aspect of us. Um, we are not just this physical body, but we also have a transcendent body. All right, Descartes, our soul and body that makes us human, our capacity to think, choose, and organize complex ideas. I think that is what differentiates us from other beings. Yep, that is totally true, Descartes, because as human beings, kasi, we're not just like other animals that, not we are not capable. I mean, other animals are capable of thinking, they can choose. However, they are not able to organize complex ideas like speech, right? So it's just us humans who have this um, ability to actually make sense of sounds and makes it into a speech or language, right? um, yeah, our we can think, animals can think, but our level of thinking is different from other animals. All right, so it seems that human beings, we are the highest evolutionary creatures in this planet, at least, no? Yun. So, um, as human beings, um, we always think that, this is just like our existence is just like this, right? Flesh and bones. Um, we work hard to earn money so that we will live. And, the cycle keeps on repeating because after that, when we die, our offsprings, our children will just do the same. It seems like, gumigising lang tayo para matulog. It seems like we are just born just to die one day. Now, um, is that really everything in life? Yun lang. You wake up just to go to sleep. We are being born just to die. Ganun lang ba talaga yon? Right? Is it just how simplistic it is? No? So, often we ask those kinds of questions. Is there really something more about our existence? Who am I? What is my purpose? Why am I here in this world? Right? So we are often get confronted with these questions. And according to one books that I have read, it's very interesting because it's actually one of the books that opened up my mind and my heart to other spiritual traditions because I was born and raised as a Roman Catholic, but around 10 years ago, I started my own seeking. So I actually destroyed my foundation beliefs and I tried seeking outside the walls of my religious tradition. And I've started reading books about Hinduism and Buddhism. So I was introduced to the idea of the higher self and the lower self. So, guys, April Lava, Descartes, Joseph Vertino, James Legaspi, what are your thoughts about the higher self and the lower self? You have any idea? So, what is the higher self and what is the lower self? All right. So I was introduced to this idea that there is a higher self and there is a lower self. So going back to the question later, who are you? You often say, pag tinanong ka, who are you? You say, hi, my name is, and then you state your name. I'm Joseph. But who is that Joseph, right? You are not Joseph or you are not April. You are not who, whatever you want to call yourself because your name that you are using right now, that's just given to you by your parents, right? Hindi talaga yan ikaw. That's what they gave you and that's what they call you and then you believe that that is you, all right? Lenny Acompañado. Hi everyone, good evening. Good evening, Mama Lenny. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. All right, so um all right, Leonardo da Vinci. Hi everything. How are we to find out? Don't English me. I'm not school. Just kidding. Leonardo da Vinci, how are you? By the way, what's your real name, brother? Welcome. Ranru Blood, yo. Hello, Ranru Blood, how are you? Namaste. Namaste, good evening to everyone. So, yeah, welcome to our live session tonight here in YouTube. Welcome to the Corporate Mystic. I am um, Father Joe, or they call me Frater Joseph, Brother Joseph, and you can simply call me Joseph, whatever you want to call me. All right. So, yeah, we were talking about who are you. So, Leonardo da Vinci, Amer. Oh, hi, Amer. How are you? Amerigo de la Cruz. Amerigo, what's your name, brother? Amerigo Diaz. Amerigo de la Cruz. How are you? Bran Rublad, how are you, brother? Yeah, so the topic is who are you? So, yeah, I was just explaining a while ago that the first few books that really opened my mind and my heart about other spiritual traditions is when I read the book um, The Meaning of Life in Hinduism and Buddhism. So, doon ko unang na-encounter, no? Doon ko unang na-encounter ang terms na higher self at lower self. So, going back to the question that pag tinanong ka, who are you? Of course, sinasabi mo, oh yeah, my name is, you start with your name. But actually, you are not your name, right? Because the name that you have is given by your really you. Okay? So, of course, we try to find another way. Oh, okay. So, you're asking, who am I? Well, I am the manager of this bank. Okay, sabihin mo ganun, di ba? But I'm not asking your position, your job title. I'm asking, who are you? Right? So you'll say, okay. But I am the son of Mr. and Mrs. blah blah blah. Then no, I'm asking who are you? I'm not asking who are your parents. Of course, we all have parents. We all are, let's say, sons and daughters of someone else. But what I'm asking is, who are you? So, we'll be on that endless chase of, asking who you are until you say, okay, I am a human being. So, yun yung sabi kanina ni Descartes, I am a human being. Or Sabi niya kanina, I am more than just a human being. So what makes you a human being, right? We go back to the I am. So who is that I am? What makes you a human being? So you will say, okay, I am a human. So we associate then ourselves with our body, right? You will say, yeah, I am a human. So you associate being human with the flesh and bones, this entire body that you have. But why do we say this is my body, right? When you say this is my body, when you say this is my body, what happens? What do you realize? Someone owns the body, or something holds or owns the body, right? Because you say this is my body, you don't say this is me, I am the body, but we say this is my body, right? So we also say this is my finger, so someone owns the finger, right? Even in language it is like that. April Lava, based on my understanding, higher self is yourself behind yourself. I mean the awareness, the God within, the observer. Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty, that's a pretty good understanding. Ranru blood, I am me. But who is that me? I am me. So you're associating I am with me, right? So who is me and who is I am? Okay, so yun, we ask ourselves, who is that really I am, right? And then, even if you kill the person, even if you dissect the person, you really cannot find where is that I am, where is that someone or something that owns the body, right? So, I am. Sometimes then may ibang tao sinasabi nila, oh, the mind kasi operates everything. So the mind actually is the main driver of everything, right? So you say, um, the mind is the I am. Yun yung thinking ng iba. But why do we say this is my mind? So still, someone or something owns the mind, right? Leonardo da Vinci, Amerigo de la Cruz. What makes us human being is our composition of three elements, three kingdoms, the body, the mind, and the soul. The combination of these three, hmm, the body, the mind, and the soul. And the combination of this is what we call spirit. Hmm. That's pretty interesting because the body, the mind, and the soul, these three things kasi, this is a very simplistic interpretation of something that is very profound, something that is very dynamic, because um, the mind, the body, and the soul, if we try that, no, in the mystical aspect or in the mystical sense, if we try to study, especially Kabbalah, no, Kabbalah, to be specific, the ancient Kabbalah, not the 19th century Kabbalah that people are propagating right now, or even if you study the 19th century Kabbalah, it's still the same. Human beings kasi have 7 different bodies, right? So it's very interesting that you open this up, because human beings has 7 different bodies. It's actually layers from the physical body down to the more subtle energy bodies, going to the highest body. So it's connected because it's where we locate this I am. Alright, so later on we will discuss more of that. JP, namaste everyone. Namaste JP. By the way, who are you? JP, brother? Are we friends on Facebook? Is this JP Icaro? Namaste. Oh, JP, thank you so much for subscribing. Alright. Ranru blood. It's because nobody really owns the me except me, and it's more than just body and spirit and soul. It's owning your full self. Owning your full self. That's this pretty interesting, Ranru blood. Because the idea kasi of owning something is lies in the premise that you are here, you are a separate entity from something. And once you accumulate that something, now you own that something, right? When you say owning your full self, um, though the statement connotes that you are one with yourself, however, it still states duality. It still states that something was outside of you and then you owned it, and now you own your full self, something like that. All right. Leonardo da Vinci, the mind is the vessel, the body is the vessel, the mind is a tool, and the soul is the observer. Hmm. Well, in that context, yeah, that is pretty much straightforward, no? But this idea, kasi this is very Hellenistic. This is a very Greco-Roman idea of the body, the mind, and the soul. But later on, we will have a more in-depth discussion on that, because there are so many terms, no, especially in the Bible, in the Christian Bible that we're using, that there are terms that are isa lang, gumamit ng soul, pero the soul pala has three different interpretations or different translations. Tapos, gumamit din ng word na spirit, or it was translated into English spirit. However, it means different things pala in Hebrew and Aramaic. All right. So, yun. All right. But yeah, the body is the vessel, the mind is a tool, and the soul is the observer. That's pretty straightforward um, explanation. All right. So, run or blood. One is two and two is one. That's why it's owning the full self to become one. All right. So there are actually different concepts about this. So we have the dualistic and the non-dualistic approach, but we will go to that um, later on. So yeah, going back to the book that I've read before, it's the meaning of life in Hinduism and Buddhism. Dun ko unang na-encounter yung term talaga na higher self. And I realized that the self, normally kasi the higher self, this is represented as capital letter S. Alright, and the small letter S is the self, or the, let's say, lower self. So dun ko na unang na-encounter yung term na ego. Alright, we have ego and we also have the higher self. So the ego is somewhat the animalistic representation of us, while the higher self is the highermost. How should I say this? The higher self is the the highest possible consciousness that you could ever have. So the higher self is actually part of your lower self. That is the non-dualistic approach, because the higher self is something that is connected with everything and everyone in the universe. So the higher self is being channeled to the lower self. And the lower self, the S, the ego, is the one that contains the higher self. Okay, so because this lower self, the ego, um, is um, the ego kasi is ano is dual in nature. So the duality of uh, the duality of the ego now can choose whether to let the higher self manifest in the lower self, or totally dismiss it and just rely with its instincts. Kasi um, it's like the ego is specially designed or created in a way to survive in this physical dimension or in this physical world. Kaya the ego is with instinct. So the ego is mainly the parts of the ego is the physical body, and then there is actually an aspect of the soul. There are lower energy bodies or lower souls, quote unquote, that is still part of the ego or that contains the ego personality. So because of that, because we needed to um, you know the higher self needed to manifest in the world, it needed a vessel, so it needed an ego, right? But this ego is dual in nature, so the ego can either attune to the higher self or just simply attune to its lower natures, right? So nandito kasi sa ego yung mga ano basic primordial needs of survival. So ego kasi is focused on merely survival. So it has instinct. All right. So Leonardo da Vinci or Amerigo de la Cruz, the ego is a tool for us to experience sense of individuality. Therefore, ego is an element necessary for beings living in lower dimensional realities due to these worlds of seemingly separate forms. Yep, yep. So, yun. That's actually the idea, no? Um, there is an ego that is used to contain the higher self. Now, the higher self, ang tawag niyan is, um, kasi in Hinduism kasi, they have different terms for this. In Christianity, we don't have much terms for this. However, the teachings of our Lord and Master Jesus is, you know, pretty much inclined to these things. Kaso lang, wala din talaga siyang um, term na solid talaga na sinabi niyang higher self or lower self. Sinasabi lang niya in parable, sinasabi niya na the house of my father, the father and I are one, something like that. So, kasi the higher self kasi is also being referred to as God. In Hinduism, the higher self is called the Atman, right? And the individual self or the lower self is called Jiva, all right? So, in Advaita Vedanta kasi, it teaches non-duality. So it states that the Atman is not separate from the Jiva. However, Jiva exists in this world, but it has duality. All right? Parang ano parang we have ang tawag na ito. Let's say for example, we have a Facebook application, right? So, di ba, kung nagsisimula ka pa lang sa Facebook, first you download the Facebook app. When you download the Facebook app, all the Facebook apps all over the world are just the same, right? And it has the same server. Let's just say it just only have one server, right? However, when you started uploading your pictures, writing your posts, liking others. So it creates its own algorithm. You create your own Facebook profile, and now it becomes a personalized Facebook profile. So your Facebook profile would look very different from the Facebook profile of your friends. However, at the core of its being, it's just the same Facebook application. So somewhat it's like that, okay? Because um, your ideas needs to be expressed on Facebook, and if you don't have the platform, the Facebook application platform, then it will not be able to manifest, right? So yeah, the idea is like that, okay? So uh, ano to comment ni ano. All right. Ranru Blood, the labels between higher self and lower self is also both duality and oneness duality, because it's still two different self and oneness, because they are still you, in my opinion, right? JP, the ego acts as a conduit for the higher self station of oneself. All right. Ranru Blood, and for me, the two parts of ego is just subordinate of lower self. Okay. All right. So it's really funny, because when we talk about oneness right now, we speak about just merely concepts, because in this three-dimensional reality, what we really experience is duality, right? So we speak in terms of light and dark, left and right, high or low, up and down. The uh, the idea of oneness is seems foreign to us, and we can only discuss it in terms of describing it with something that is obvious for us. However, if we try to really think about it at an intellectual level, parang hindi talaga siya it's incomprehensible, right? Because at first glance, how would you fathom that you and me are just one, right? We have different ideas, we have different genes, we have different faces, right? We have different birthdays, we have different age, right? So we would really see duality in this dimension. However, um, in the higher dimensions, no, in higher realities, um, in higher universes rather, even science can even the science of today can prove that, because they have already found the mathematical equation that would prove the existence of a fourth or a fifth dimension, or whatever dimension is it, higher than our current dimension. In the higher universes, in the higher universes and higher realities, time is not linear. Past, present, future, they are just one flux, one event. And also, in the higher planes, or in the higher dimensions of existence, it seems that there is oneness, right? But again, we are just speaking of it right now, and in an intellectual level, we really don't have experience about that as of yet. But during our meditations, during our contemplations, maybe a few of you have already experienced this, that there is that point, or that certain degree of oneness that you will be feeling when you are meditating, and that is something that is incomprehensible, and you cannot put that in words, at least, no. If you are someone who already has that experience. But yes, duality exists in this dimension, and it is something that we should also acknowledge, right? For us, talking in an intellectual level, oneness is just a concept. We need to really experience oneness through our meditation, through our contemplation, so that we will be able to, really speak about it in a way that you are not hesitant or you don't have any doubts because you have experienced oneness yourself. Okay. um Going back to the concept of the higher self and the lower self. um there's one book that I've read before. I just forgot the title, I'm so sorry. But human beings now, we have, before we truly realize our higher self, because ganito kasi yan, ang existence daw natin dito sa mundo is that we need to be able to channel our higher self in order for it to be aligned with our lower self, kasi nga 'di ba, there's duality in this world. So the yun nga, as above so below, you make the outer the inner and the inner the outer. That's the sayings of Master Jesus. So we need to align, right? We need to align our higher self with our lower self. So we need to align our higher self with our lower self in a way for this higher self to manifest in this um, physical universe. So when that happens, that is called samadhi, or that is called enlightenment. Now there are different takes on this, especially with different spiritual groups. There is um, may mga dualistic, may mga non-dualistic, especially the Advaita Vedanta versus the Kashmir Shaivites, and there's also Western, ano, Leonardo da Vinci. Higher dimensions cannot be explained by mathematical expressions because mathematics is based on 3D point of view. Some as lower consciousness cannot explain how higher dimensions look like. Actually, bro, there is a mathematical equation that somehow points that there is an existence of a higher dimension, but it cannot be proven as of yet. But there's already an equation about that. Alam mo yung imaginary number? The imaginary number cannot exist in real life, but it exists as a concept. All right. So the mathematical expressions that you are speaking of, um, siguro kung simple arithmetic lang, hindi yan pwede kasi that's based on 3D point of view, right? But yeah, yun nga, Leonardo da Vinci, those are only concepts but cannot be applied or experienced. It can be applied, or it can be hindi, it can be experienced. However, you really cannot uh, put it in a way that you could explain it in a way that it will materialize in the physical universe. So the equations, basta, maybe later I will show you the the math behind it. But that's the claim, that's the claims of the scientists. I forgot who did the study, but they have claim already that there's already a mathematical equation that points out that there is a possibility of an existence of a higher realm, Ranru blood, samadhi state. Yeah, so samadhi, that is, ang tawag nito, it different kasi ang take niyan for different spiritual traditions, right? um, as for Advaita Vedanta, enlightenment is not something to be attained. Okay. Enlightenment is not something very far that you need to reach it. So enlightenment is actually not a goal, but rather it is just an awareness that you already have that within you, You just need to realize that. While other spiritual traditions, they are speaking of a more, um, let's say, they are speaking of enlightenment as something that needs to be achieved, right? Um, just like, awakening the Kundalini energy so that you will attain enlightenment. For Advaita Vedanta, it's different. Kundalini awakening is different from different for different individuals. So, meaning, if you will be enlightened, if you will reach samadhi, your Kundalini will be awakened. But it's not necessary that when you awaken the Kundalini, you become uh, enlightened. In other traditions, it's different. You need to awaken first the Kundalini before you reach samadhi. So, different viewpoints, different takes on that. But yeah, let's not focus on that because um, we really couldn't tell who was the right interpretation, not unless we experience it ourselves. All right. So choose a path, focus on it, and if it works, then good. If not, then maybe there's another path for you. Okay. So yun. Um, all right. So I've read a book. I've just forgot the title. So it speaks about the evolution of the consciousness of man. So first now, before we are able to really realize that we are not human beings having a temporary spiritual experience, but rather we are spiritual beings having a temporary human experience, we actually start with our um, animalistic consciousness. So, ano itong animalistic consciousness? Of course, animalistic consciousness, it deals with merely survival lang, right? It is when you are just, listening to the instructions, or when you are just listening to the desires of your ego, of your lower animalistic self. So when you are in this state, kapag nasa ano ka pa, nasa animalistic consciousness ka pa, what happens is that puro ka lang instinct. If you want to eat, you just eat. Regardless if, you don't really think kung nakakasama ba yan sa kapwa mo yung ginagawa mo. Just eat. You want sex, you just have sex. Want to drink water, just drink water. You want to get a shelter, you just get a shelter. You really don't think of other people. It's more on selfish. It's more on manifesting your selfish desires. However, when our consciousness evolves, so we will then proceed to the second level, which is the objective consciousness. Now, objective consciousness is, in a way, um, the is most likely that's maybe more than 60-70% of the population in the world is on that state. Objective consciousness is when you start to find meaning in your life. Let's say, for example, you work on something because you wanted to achieve your goal. Parang you have already a goal in your life. However, this goal is maybe not that profound. Maybe this goal is not that, let's say, not that noble as of yet, but these goals are pretty much decent. Let's say, for example, objective consciousness, meaning your goals in life are already aligned to, let's say, for a greater cause. Maybe you wanted to become rich right now because you want to give a home to your parents. Perhaps you wanted to build a career. You want to become someone famous. You want to become someone rich and powerful. Maybe you want to become, let's say, someone influential. So that is the next state, no, of consciousness, the objective consciousness. And if we are just thinking of material gains, then maybe we are still in this state of awakening, objective consciousness. Kasi by level ng awakening daw ng tao eh, according to the book that I've read. So um, next in the objective consciousness, we will experience the spiritual consciousness. All right. So spiritual consciousness is when a person starts to, awaken this longing within him or her about spirituality, the need to connect with something that is higher than him or her. All right. So this is the progression, no, from animalistic consciousness to objective consciousness, and then to spiritual consciousness. All right. So cut muna dyan. Run blood. Experience is subjective. Yes, brother. Experience is really subjective. So I think you're referring to my the one that I discussed earlier, right? We're referring to that about the differences between the Advaita Vedanta and other dualistic concepts. So yeah, it could be that experience is subjective, or the experience of one person is being interpreted differently by a different person, and yeah, it is subjective. So yun, that's why they have a different interpretation of the same spiritual experience. All right, so yun. um, Spiritual consciousness. Going back to spiritual consciousness, that is the time wherein people are starting to long for a spiritual connection, right? Most of the time, people who are in the spiritual consciousness, ito yung time kasi normally, no? Mga matatanda na. So, diba, when we were still young, we're just, animalistic desires, we just give in to animalistic desires, and so on. That's just animalistic consciousness. And then when we grow older, we have that, desire to, let's say, help our family, build our career, maybe become rich and famous. That's objective consciousness. But later on in life, when we're a bit older, maybe nasa dapit hapon na, maybe when we're 50, 60 years old, that's the time when we start seeking the divine or seeking God. That's spiritual. And most of the time, people die without even reaching the next level of consciousness. So this is where reincarnation kicks in. This is where reincarnation comes in, because the next time na babalik ka dito sa lupa, if reincarnation is proven to be true, then when you come back here, it would seem that you're still very young, but you are already into a spiritual path. Parang, oh, this boy is, para ka ng para ka ng matanda magsalita. You are already seeking spiritual stuff, right? Kasi, di ba, if makikita natin ngayon, sino yung mga active sa simbahan? Di ba, most of the time yung mga matatanda, right? Yung mga nasa dapit hapon na ng buhay nila. People who have few wins, few losses in their lives, and they are seeking the divine spirit, God. So they become active in their churches, or perhaps they transfer from one church to another, or perhaps they stop going to church and just starting to connect with nature. But very few, but most of them really go to churches because they are seeking that comfort kasi with the divine. And they think that they can find that in churches, and it's pretty understandable because that's the culture that they've lived in. But the next stage of spiritual consciousness is what we call the psychic consciousness. But remember, psychic consciousness is not enlightenment. So it's just another phase. So psychic consciousness, this is where people Dao, quote unquote, say certain abilities. Perhaps they become more empathic. Perhaps they become, um, let's say, more, how should I say this, sensitive to energy. Some has even prophetic visions. Some are experiencing abilities, perhaps opening their ajna chakra, their third eye, and they're having, and we need to let this flow, right? We need not to be attached to these things. And the final stage now is actually the enlightened consciousness. This is when a person becomes fully awakened, and his ego, or just the body, will just become a vessel for the higher self or the divine to manifest in this world. All right, and we really can't talk much about this because the enlightened consciousness is yun nga, di ba? It is an experience. So it is really hard to talk about an experience when first we might not have that experience as of yet, or second, we have that experience. However, words will be inadequate to express that kind of experience to others. Because if you explain enlightenment to someone without having the experience of it, it will just become another man's tale. It will just become another person's story. And the description might be misinterpreted by the person that you are speaking with, right? Just like, for example, no, if you're reading the Bible, if you will be reading the visions of the prophets and so on and so forth, it would seem that their descriptions of their visions is somewhat bizarre. Kasi nga, we don't have that experience eh. And if they can see something, let's say, for example, if they can see things in the future, let's say prophetic visions, and they are seeing missiles, or they will be seeing helicopters or airplanes or submarines, and that's still not within their current time, right? And it's still not in their current time, they will describe an airplane into something like a metal bird flying, something like that. So that their words will be inadequate to explain or to describe something that they have seen in their visions, kasi nga um that's a vision eh. That's something that is experiential. When they describe it, tas tayo yung bumabasa sa scriptures, o ano to, it seems bizarre. Parang nakakatawa naman tong vision ni ni prophet di ba? Kasi nga, we don't have that experience. And sometimes words are really inadequate to describe or discuss that experience. Okay? Descartes, enlightened consciousness is like Plato's concept of reality in his book On the Republic, Chapter 7, Allegory of the Cave. Yes, Allegory of the Cave. Di ba? Yung mga preso, Allegory of the Cave, no? There were prisoners inside a cave, and they really don't have any idea what the outside world looks like. So everything that they see is just two-dimensional kasi there is a torch of light dun sa preso. Tapos pag may dadaan na tao, yung shadow niya, that's a human. Tapos pag may dadaan na baka, that's a cow. But it's just a black shadow, a two-dimensional object. So one day, may tao or may preso na nakatakas. And then, when he went outside the cave, he was bewildered by the things that he discovered outside the cave. Ano pala? Objects pala are not two-dimensional and they are not on the wall. Kasi yung nakikita nila dati ano lang, shadows na nasa wall. This is a tree, this is a cow, this is a man, something like that. But when the person went outside the cave, may araw pala. Yung puno pala, it's a three-dimensional figure. Yung baka pala is a three-dimensional figure. Yung rocks, and they have colors. They're not just black, right? So, when the person went back to the cave, he tried to tell his friends, hey, the world is different. Mali yung paniniwala natin about the things. But bro, I went outside. They will say, no, there is no such thing as an outside world. Don't be silly. Yung mga ganon. And then the person will try to, hindi bro, I'll help you get out of this cave so that you will see the real world. And because of that, kung i-insist talaga niya yung kagustuhan niya na makita ng mga kasamahan niya kung ano yung nasa labas ng cave, his friends, right, his fellow prisoners will kill him just to defend their belief. So, parang ganun yun. Parang ganun yung experience when you have reached that enlightened consciousness, and then you'll try to describe it to others. You will sound crazy, or people will believe you, but they might misunderstand you. Ganun lang yun. Perhaps people will worship you. That's the worst thing that could happen, because they need to realize that God is with them. God is within them. The higher self, actually, that's actually the God that is within us. And because God is within us, that doesn't mean na people need to worship us, right? We need to worship God within us. And if you want to worship God outside you, Jesus made a very, very wonderful comment about this. You best serve God by serving your fellow man. In a nutshell, that's actually the main teaching of Jesus, because when he was asked what is the most important commandment, he said, love God with all your mind, with all your heart, with all your strength, with all your soul. That's the first and most important commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. And in within these two laws hang all the laws of the prophets. So meaning that Jesus understood this profound truth, that the Atma in you is also the Atman in me. The God in you is also the God in me. The higher self in you is also the higher self in me. So when I hurt others, when I hurt you, I also be hurting myself. And to love you is to love God more, and also to love myself as well. Alright? Ang lamig na pala ng kape ko. Alright? Ranrublad, Descartes, and Leonardo da Vinci, and JP, and who else? April Lava, and James Legaspi. Brothers and sisters, are you still there? Alright. So, eto. I do have a question. Right now, in your life right now, so most of us here are on a spiritual path, right? Most of us here are on a spiritual path. Now, my question is, what do you think is your, let's say, purpose in this um, lifetime right now that we have? I know that most of us here are on, you know, meditation. Most of us here are on maybe contemplation. Maybe we have a set of sadhanas every day that we're doing. Um, yeah, so far, can you share with me, or can you share with us here, all of us here, what do you think is the mission that the divine or your higher self is actually trying to let you do in this lifetime? All right. Sorry. All right. So Ranrublad, Descartes, April Lava, James Legaspi, JP. Yeah, guys. Based on your observations, because diba, when we are born into this world, we have our different inclinations, right? We have our um, skills, we have talents, and most of these things, if we believe in reincarnation, these were the merits that we got from our past life. Me personally, I do not believe in child prodigies. I don't believe in geniuses. Um, but I believe in past life karma. So karma is, positive or negative, good or bad karma. But yeah, karma is karma. It is just us who label it as good karma or bad karma. But it's just merit or demerit. So I really don't believe in child prodigies, but I believe in past life um, karma, whereby it is possible that in your past life, um, you were able to gather all the skills, talent, knowledge, and then when you're born today, you have this inclination. So, um, yeah, based on the things that you can do, the things that you cannot do at the moment, based on your meditation, based on the circumstances that is happening in your life right now, what do you think is your mission in this lifetime, your purpose perhaps? If there is, if you can think of any. But if wala, it's all right. Just share with me your insights on these things. Do you believe that we have a purpose in life that we need to fulfill? Or, wala lang, we're just here. Just need to exist. Period. All right. Mhm. All right, so time check, 12:27. So yun, I'll be waiting for your answers, ha. What do you think is your purpose in this lifetime? Okay. All right, so for now, yeah, going back to, the topic of the higher self and the lower self and who are you? Um, this makes me, or when I first heard about these concepts, uh, This made me realize that, life is more than just waking up and sleeping, right? Wake up in the morning, sleep at night, wake up in the morning, sleep at night. To be born one day and to die one day, right? Um, I realized that life happens pala from womb to tomb, from birth to death. What happens in between is life. And because of that, we need to understand what life really is. Um, Kasi 'di ba, ngayon, if we try to look at the world, no? The world has become very materialistic in a way that sometimes, no, we cut the connection. We cut our connection with the divine. We cut our connection with our higher self because we want to pursue these lower things in life that we think are the most precious ones. Diba? Yung in-explain ko kanina about the um, objective consciousness, animalistic consciousness, objective consciousness, spiritual consciousness, psychic consciousness, and enlightened consciousness. Now, minsan kasi natatrap ang mga tao dito lang sa objective consciousness eh. Minsan, matagal yung progress natin to reach the spiritual consciousness. Right now, the world, no, as it is, for me, this is my theory. Sa marketing kasi ganyan eh. You need to create a demand. Kahit na wala namang gusto ng bagay na yan, gumawa ka ng demand para sa bagay na yan, para maraming mag-crave niyan. For example, cellphones, di ba? Cellphone is just, dati ano lang yan, text tawag. Hanggang sa, actually, it started just calls and then text was added. And then, right now, my smartphones na, Android phones, pwede ka na makapag-internet sa phone. Dami mo nang pwedeng gawin sa phone ngayon. And to think the essence kasi is just for communication eh. But what happens is that they keep on adding more features to it and they advertise it na ito yung bago, ito yung maganda, you will be cool. Maganda talaga pag may ganito ka, di ba? Cell phones right now, it's like 3 to 6 months, laos na yung phone mo. And you need to buy a new one just to be, para ka maging in. Para you are always updated with the latest trend of cellphone. Kahit di mo naman kailangan, bili ka ng bili. Kahit maganda pa yung camera ng cellphone, bili ka ng bili. So, the world has become very materialistic. And in a way, this slows down, if not hinders, our evolution of consciousness. Parang ginaganon nila, hinihila nila hanggang doon lang tayo sa objective consciousness. Strive hard, work hard, be famous, be rich. Yun lang. Spirituality is being cut off. But there's also this idea slowly emerging that they are slowly incorporating spirituality in the pursuit of materialistic desires. However, they sugarcoat it in a way that it's very spiritual, and most of the time yung ginagamit talaga ng mga business gurus na to is the law of attraction. Kasi ito yung pinaka madaling gamitin. Ito yung let's say, ito yung pinaka best way for them to market their idea. So yun napapansin ko ngayon eh. That's why there is really no progress or not much progress from objective consciousness to spiritual consciousness to psychic consciousness to enlightened consciousness. Kasi there is a redirection or a misdirection that is being done in the world right now. April Lava. The purpose of my life is simply live and experience. Just enjoy the present moment. Noon kasi I worry about tomorrow and think about the past. Madami akong na-discover noon nag-practice ako. Very nice, very good. So, actually, no, living in the present moment and experience life, it's very, very powerful because it is in the present moment where we actually have the power to really create the life that we really wanted. It is being in the present moment. When we are fully in the present moment, mind, body, soul, spirit, if these are all aligned and also your energy is in the present moment, then we can do anything and we are unstoppable. All right? April Lava, living in the present moment. Descartes. It's really hard to answer that question. What is your purpose in life? What is the reason behind your existence? I really don't know. It's easy to say you have to attain the ultimate purpose, happiness. Well, yeah, it is true. It is one of the hardest questions in life. However, um, yun nga, parati kong sinasabi, sometimes, no, questions, the reason why we are not getting the right answers in life because we are asking for the wrong questions. And sometimes the questions are more important than the answers. So, you know, um, even if you still don't found your purpose, if you can't find a purpose, then, create a purpose for yourself. If that is what you really wanted to do, no? But if not, then it's totally fine. Just like Miss April, no? She's just living in the present moment with no worries about the past, with no worries for the future and no regrets from the past. Just living in the present moment, right? Descartes, it's like to have to be what you are supposed to be doing. It's actually, you will actually have the burden then kasi if you keep on, um, if your purpose hasn't come to you yet, because I believe in this now. If you have a purpose, it will come to you and you will just realize it and then you will be doing it. Kung wala pa siya, then if you have that anxiety, ano kaya ang purpose ko in life? Ano kaya, tama ba itong ginagawa ko? If you are in that, in that state of anxiety, you are not living in the present moment. Your mind could be in the past or could be in the future, or it's scattered all over. So you will not be productive right here, right now. So, yeah, yun. Leonardo da Vinci. For me, there is actually no purpose. Okay, it's just what it is. But as self conscious beings, life purpose is a big question and a challenge to give meaning on our existence. We create the purpose. Yep, yep. Actually, if you say that life has no meaning and you give meaning to it, it's actually correct. But if you say that, oh, life is very meaningful and I live to serve God, it's also true. It's actually it really depends on you. It really depends on your consciousness, on how you define your existence or your purpose, right? So yun nga, di ba? Sabi ng isang saying, life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. So it's about creating yourself, the small letters, creating your ego, creating your desired ego, creating a healthy ego. So channeling your higher self down to this realm and, using your higher self as a guide for your ego to create itself. Yun. That's why we meditate, we pray, we contemplate, we have our sadhanas, different sets of spiritual practices. Others chant using beads, others just meditate, others just chant Aum, others sing praises to the Lord on Sundays. Because we want to be guided by this higher self in order for us to really, live our lives to the fullest potential as a human being. All right. So Descartes, as if someone destined you to do such planned existence. yun nga sinabi ko kanina. If you keep on really stressing yourself about a purpose and you see that you don't have any purpose, then you will just be stressed on that. So just if you haven't found a purpose for your life yet, then just continue living your life as it is. Descartes: laws in all forms are what makes us put in order, but also makes us little. True. Just like saying you are free, but you are not totally free. Yep, that is true. That's the irony in life, kapatid. So yun lang. Yeah, just be just be more gentle with yourself, perhaps. Just be, you know, a bit more carefree, right? Leonardo da Vinci: happiness is what we get by achieving something. Happiness is whether by pleasure, which is just temporary or sugar-coated pain, or through joy and inner discovery of true nature of everything. So, happiness is what we get by achieving something. That's pretty interesting because there's a saying kasi, once there was a man who went to the Buddha. He said, I want happiness. The Buddha replied, first remove I, because that is ego. Next, remove want, because that is desire. And what is left is happiness. Alright? So, happiness is not something at the end of the road. Right? Happiness is not found at the end of the road. Happiness is actually a state of being while you are walking the road. No? Happiness is not the goal. However, happiness is what you need to have in order to get whatever goal you want to achieve in your life. So, um, happiness is whether by pleasure or through joy. So, yeah, true happiness is actually somewhat, yes, joy. It's an inner discovery of the true nature of everything because, di ba, um, they say you will be happy if you will uh, be cured by your sickness. When you get cured, you'll be happy. But there are people who are still sick right now, but they are happy, right? They didn't achieve something. Hindi sila gumaling sa sakit nila, but they are happy. So, happy is actually a state of mind. Sabi nga ni Buddha, di ba? First, remove I, that is ego. Sometimes we say, I deserve to be happy. This is what you always say. Who the hell are you? Why do you deserve to be happy? It seems like the world is revolving around you. The whole universe is revolving around you. If you deserve to be happy, others deserve to be happy as well. But happiness is something that is within you. It is not something that you get, but it's something that's already there. Just like enlightenment, the highest happiness. So, enlightenment is just there. Happiness is just there. You'll just need to find it within you. That's why we need to have that awareness. The awareness of the self and the higher self. That's why, diba, in meditation, we focus on breathing. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. We don't identify ourselves with our thoughts. Thoughts come in, pass. Come in, pass. Don't push away your thoughts. Don't entertain the thought. Just let it flow. It's just there. And we realize that happiness is right here, right now. Happiness is being in the present moment. Because the reason why we're not happy is because we are not living in the present moment. We have regrets from the past, or maybe we are too afraid of the future. We feel anxiety. Maybe excited, na parang takot, na parang hindi. The past, marami tayong pinagsisisihan, mga ginawa natin, mga hindi natin ginawa, and so on. So these are all mixed up. You are right here, right now. You are sitting there, but your mind, your consciousness is not totally present. That's why we are not happy. Leonardo da Vinci, we give meaning, we create the purpose because we create our own reality. Yep, we create our own reality. But in a way, yes, we create our own reality. However, we create, or we rather co-create our reality because um, we really couldn't create our reality 100%. We can just co-create it. Do you get what I'm saying? Um, because, of course, considering karma, considering past life karma and your present karma, considering the lessons that we need to learn in our life, considering also the merits that we got from our previous lifetime, what we are experiencing right now is a continuation of the process of evolution that we're experiencing. So sometimes we wanted to create our life in a way that we wanted it to be. However, we didn't realize that if we create our life in this specific aspect, in this um, line, it will go against, or it will not be aligned with our current life path. Alright? So sometimes, may mga times na we want to manifest something, it will not manifest because we are not attuned with our higher self. Pinupush natin yung gusto natin. 'Di ba? Yun nga sinasabi ng mga Christians, 'di ba? Na if God will not give it to you, maybe God has a better plan for you. It's very simplistic, but if we try to understand it in a higher mystical or metaphysical level, it is still true. Totoo yun. Kasi sometimes, we try to push, we try to attract things. I want to create this kind of life. But you cannot create that kind of life because it is not your life path. Leonardo da Vinci, the past no longer exists, the future doesn't exist either. Therefore, there is no past and future. The only thing is here and now. Okay. Um, the past, it doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. Therefore, there is no past or future. The only thing is here and now. If it is true, because this statement is true in a way, but we need to really understand that we are using this statement in its proper context. All right? The past no longer exists. True. And the future doesn't exist. True. Therefore, the only thing is now. You need to understand that the past and the future is nothing but just a series of now. Okay? Like this. I will raise my hand in the future. This is the future. Now, I have raised my hand in the past. So what does that mean? Have you seen, um, have you been into a movie house? Diba, when you are watching a movie, there's a film that is rotating. There's light, tapos there's a film that is rotating, right? So, every second, most of the time kasi 1 second is equal to 30 frames. Now, these frames are, let's say, pictures of, let's say, a character or a scene that is graduate, and the future are just these frames. They are just snapshots of now. So when you say that the only thing here is now, that is correct because the past, the present, and the future are all now. 'Di ba? Yun nga sinabi ko kanina. Um, Oneness. When we speak about oneness, if we are looking at these things on a higher level of consciousness, in let's say, if we are going to go into a higher dimensional perspective, the past, the present, and the future, they exist simultaneously. It's just in this three-dimensional reality, we experience them as past, present, future. In this three-dimensional reality, it is linear. But truth is, it is not linear. There are unlimited, there are unlimited possibilities of pasts, and there's also unlimited possibilities of futures. But because of the decisions we make along the way, we create our reality right here, right now, today. All right? So, the past, it may no longer exist right now. However, the energy that you have meddled in the past, perhaps your karma in the past, still exists right now. You carry that over to the present because of that specific actions or decisions that you made in the past that steered up to where you are right now. All right? So you cannot say that the past no longer exists and you are invalidating the things that happened and that past that you experienced, that it's no longer here. But no, it is still here. The energies, the positive karma, the negative karma, still here, right? Um, Yun. So so depending now on your decision right here, right now, today, you will then be creating your desired future. Could be this future, this future, this, and it is infinite possibilities, right? So I hope that makes sense. Leonardo da Vinci. I forgot this idea is based on linear time. Yeah, so I'm just trying to put everything into perspective, ha. I'm not arguing that your statement is wrong. No, I'm just trying to put it into perspective. All right? Descartes, ang sakit sa utak ng discussion. Feeling ko nagre-review ako para sa compre exams at thesis defense. Sorry, bro. Sorry. This is just um, yeah, we're just trying to put things into perspective, no? Um, Kasi yun nga, about purpose, about channeling our life's purpose, um, or rather creating a purpose for our own. If life really doesn't have a purpose, then we create a purpose for our own, right? So yun, that's what I'm trying to say, that um, we need to attune, we need to align with our higher self so that the lower self will be guided on what to do, so that the lower self can manifest the highest possible, let's say, outcome, or the highest possible existence that it can have in this world. Diba? Kung naka-attune si lower self kay higher self, so meaning the higher self, the lower self rather, will become healthy. It's what we call the healthy ego. And once you have a healthy ego, then of course, um, things that you will be doing will be smooth sailing. But it doesn't mean that you will not encounter challenges along the way. There will still be problems. There will still be turmoils. There will still be hardships. However, if you are anchored to your higher self, or to God, to the God within you, then most likely you will surpass all these challenges. All right? All right, ayos ba? Um, Time check, it's already 12:52. All right, so we have 8 minutes more. So sino pa bang nandito? Sino pa bang nandito? Nandito pa ba? Leonardo da Vinci, Descartes, JP, April Lava, Ranro Blood, sino pa ba? Wala na ba si James Legaspi? Wala na yung iba. Alright, so yeah, before we end, you guys, do you have any questions or let's say clarifications that you would like to let's say ask or you would like to discuss before we end this session tonight? Oy, Lenny Acompañado, hi ma. Thank you, thank you. So, finished na kagkaon? Are you done eating? Alright, thank you for staying ma. Thank you so much for listening. Alright, to our discussion. Yeah po, Jo. Leonardo da Vinci, nako'y pangutana unsaon pagkatog og sayo. How to sleep early? Well, you need to wake up early so that you will be able to sleep early. Alright. April Lava, next live chat, karma topic. Hmm. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I would like also to have that topic next time because karma can also be, or karma kasi has, or different spiritual traditions has different takes on karma. So others believe in karmic ties, all right? Other also believe in no, you don't have any karmic ties. Your karma is just yours alone. Others would say the karma of your family members, you'll also be affected. So yeah, that's a very interesting topic, April Lava. So yeah, let's try to have that next time around. So para sa mga bago, no, I do live session on YouTube every Monday, most likely 10 p.m. Alright, pero ngayon I started around 10:45 kasi pinatulog ko pa yung anak ko. So, pasensya na po, medyo natagal lang. Lenny Acompañado, yes na. Alright. Thank you, ma. Thank you, Pod. Rachel May Abok, hello, Rolly. Hello, Rachel. How are you? It's pretty late. We are actually about to end the session, but thank you for staying. Thank you for dropping by. Do you have any questions or clarifications that you would like us before we end this session? All right. Lenny Acompañado, nag-ulan diya si Dio. Wala nag-ulan diri sa Cagayan ma so far. Ganiha. I think nagtalithi ganiya, but kadyo tra kayo. Leonardo da Vinci unsa nang CDO? CDO corned beef, no. Cagayan de Oro, Cagayan de Oro. Alright. So Leonardo da Vinci, nice na topic is 12 universal laws and how they work. Okay? Yeah, we'll also try to, tackle those because if we will be just discussing one universal law, each universal law kasi has a corresponding or has, how should I say this? Each universal law kasi is interdependent with another law. For example, if we speak about law of karma, of course, you also talk about law of giving, right? And also law of forgiveness or law of tithing. So they are interconnected, right? So it's impossible to talk about one law without talking, other few laws. All right. Descartes, despite of different points of view, can you give us a summary on how we can answer the topic for tonight? Who we are, what is our purpose in life? Yeah. Okay. So, despite of the different points of view, can you give us a summary on how we can answer the topic for tonight? Who we are and what is our purpose in life? All right. So, yeah, the title kasi of our topic for tonight, who we are. This is actually a topic that is not meant to be answered by me, but rather this topic is meant to be to be answered by you guys, because you will be the ones will be realizing who you really are and what is your purpose in life. So let's start with who we are. So for me, no, this is my take on this, and you could have a different take on this as well. Regardless um, if we believe in a higher self or not, regardless if you have a traditional Christian belief or a Hindu or a Buddhist belief, we all agree that we are all connected. We are one, right? So when you say who are you, who we are, even if you're an atheist or a theist, a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim, kapag sinabi mong who I am, we really cannot find that I am in this body. You know that the I am that we are speaking of is transcendent, meaning it is what we call the non-local self. That is the self that cannot be located. So meaning, para siyang abstract form, right? So the non-local self or the I am, that is who you really are. And that I am is actually the same I am that you are using, that others are using, right? The I am, the real I am, yun nga sa Bible, di ba? Moses was asking the burning bush, sabi niya, sino ka? Who are you? And then God spoke to Moses, I am who I am. So that's the meaning of this. Yod He Vav He. I am who I am. So meaning who we are, we're actually just one. We are the universe. Even if you don't believe in God, but you believe in the existence of the universe, if you try to check um, the components of your body, it is the same components, the stars in the sky, right? As the planet Earth. So we are actually just one. So that's why, diba, the best thing that you could do is to love God, love others. Yung nga sabi, when someone when there was a rabbi who was asked by someone, sabi niya, oh sige sir, if you could summarize the contents of the Torah or the 5 books of the law, I will become your disciple. If you could recite the Torah when with just 1 foot standing, tapos sinabi ng rabbi, that's still just fine. So he stand up with 1 foot standing, gumanon siya. Sabi niya, love God, love others. The rest are just commentaries. When they all heard that, they were shocked because the rabbi was correct. No, love God, love others. The rest are just commentaries. Meaning, by loving others, you will also be loving God. Or if okay, let's say you're an atheist, you don't believe in God, but when you start loving humanity, you feel for humanity more because you believe that human beings are made up of the same components as you are. When you look at your fellow men, you are actually looking back at yourself and you're actually looking at the universe. So who we are the I am. So that is my take on that question. And what is our purpose in life? Well, our purpose in life, it actually differs or actually varies. So there's actually a good topic on that, about purpose. There is what we call ikigai. Have you heard about that? The Japanese kasi has the secret to longevity. They call it ikigai. So ikigai is actually a reason, the reason for being. So an ikigai is composed of parang 4 circles that they meet in the center. So 1 circle, second circle. So ikigai. So first, there is that thing that you are really good at doing it. And then there's also that thing that you are passionate about doing. Iba yung magaling ka dito, pero passionate ka dito. Tapos, may isang bagay naman na this is the thing that you can be paid for. When you do this, you can be paid for by doing this. And there's also this thing that the world needs. So these four circles, actually, this can be a good topic next time around. So these four circles, when they meet halfway, yung spot, parang siyang Venn diagram, but four circles siya. And then there's that spot in the center when they all meet. That is your ikigai, or that is your reason for being. So if you are looking for a purpose in life, look for your ikigai. Look for that something that you love doing this, but you're also good at doing this. 'Di ba? Magmi-meet yan eh. Tapos yung bagay na you are paid in doing this, and also there is something in that field that the world needs. So that is uh, your purpose. If all those criteria met, what is in the center? That is your purpose. That is your ikigai. If you are really looking for your purpose in life, because ikigai kasi means work. So once you find your ikigai, once you do the thing that parang you are designed to do that thing, you will not be tired in doing that because you have found your ikigai. You have found the reason for your being. And ikigai is not static. Ikigai changes. So yeah, because we're talking about purpose na, no? So for example, there is this person who really, really loves. Uh, okay, there's this person who really loves sports, any kind of sports. Gusto niya. However, he's really passionate about basketball. All right, and because of him playing basketball, um, he can be paid doing that. So he really trained hard. Varsity siya sa school. After graduation, drafts, napasok siya sa PBA or NBA. And then, the world needs an inspiration, right? So all the four criteria is met. So because he's doing what he's passionate about, what he's good at, he can be paid by that. And he's also and that's also what the world needs. The world needs a good example, an icon. So that person become someone very famous, and he has touched so many lives. So he has found his purpose in life. That is his ikigai, right? However, when that person, let's say, ages, maybe he becomes old, hindi na siya ganun kaliksi dati, siguro madali na siyang mapagod. So, his ikigai now shifts, and it will change. He will still be doing his ikigai. So, he's still passionate about basketball, still good at it, pero medyo mahina na yung katawan niya. So, maybe, right now, he becomes a coach. He becomes a basketball coach. So, nag-shift lang yung ikigai niya, it changed, but still, he's still passionate on doing it because it is still aligned with his purpose in life. Now, he is guiding the next generation to do basketball the right way. So it is still the purpose that he is living. So, that is ikigai, right? The reason for your being. Descartes, brother, I can actually, or you can actually research on that. It's on YouTube. Maraming explanations about ikigai on how to, find your purpose, the purpose of your being. If that is your, if kung yan yung gusto mo talaga. Alright? Rachel May Abok, Dream State Multiverse. Kini siya unta next topic. Okay ra at least kasapon. Alright, yeah, maybe next time around we'll discuss about multiverse, multiple possible outcomes, no? Multiple pasts, infinite pasts, infinite futures. It's actually in Kabbalah. That's one of the teachings in Kabbalah. Kabbalah is actually a form of ancient Jewish mysticism, and yeah, it's really amazing, no? How the ancient civilizations already have this concept or this idea of multiverse. And right now, science is, slowly discovering, or maybe not really discovering, but they are slowly having a hint that these things might be true, that these things um, might be real. Kasi nga, di ba, as I've mentioned earlier, there's already been a mathematical equation about higher universes. Let's say fourth, fifth dimension. There's already a math behind it. So, multiverse is also another area of science that is slowly being discovered by scientists. That there is a multiverse. All right, Lenny Acompañado. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Budma. All right. So, I think that's it for tonight. Wala na ba? Wala na bang hahabol? Wala na bang hahabol ng mga tanong? Wala na? Right, so I hope, Descartes, brother, um, are we good? Okay na? Rachel Abo? Okay? Sino pa? Alright, so kung wala na, guys, before I end this, I would like to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who joined me. Joseph Vertino, James Legaspi, April Lava, sino pa? Descartes, brother, thank you for joining me. Ranro Blood, thank you for joining. Um, Leonardo da Vinci or Amerigo de la Cruz, brother, thank you. JP, thank you for your presence. Thank you for participating. Mama Lenny Ramalia, Mama, thank you so much for joining. Sino pa? Sino pa ba? Rachel Abok, thank you so much for joining. Salamat. Descartes, okay na po, haha, thank you so much. Alright. So, yun na siguro, guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I hope that you've learned something tonight. But again, I always say this. Please take everything I say with a grain of salt because I do not hold the absolute truth. So we really need to have our own experience. We need to sit, we need to meditate, and contemplate on things that we have heard, that we have learned. And if it resonates within us, then let's go on with that. But if it does not resonate within us, then we need to let go of that idea and move on with our lives. All right? Thank you so much, guys, for participating. This has been TM Joseph, your trans religious minister. Namaste.